Well, I got all my videos done this weekend except the baby so far, so it's getting dark right now. I had a lot of running around to do today. I didn't think I did, but I did. So, I'm going to run through the babies now. You'll see in the videos below that I went with James and I, then James and I and Mario, and then again by myself, went with 10 horses, 10 babies. Obviously, the reason I did that was to show them off and allow you guys to see what I see from those horses. It's getting to be January now, and although I have no idea who the good ones are, who the bad ones are, you know, as I said, I'm concerned that maybe we have 2 bad ones. But at a 78, I'm pretty happy with those numbers, and I think everybody else is too. And not to say that those 2 horses are bad, but they're horses that I'm concerned are not going to be are not going to be what I need them to be or what I think they'll be. It's very early, and I could be 100% wrong. But when it comes down to 6 more months of training, 6 more months of bills, then and stake payments, and then racing these horses, I have to be honest with you guys as much as I can. I'm not always right. I'm gonna make mistakes, and very rarely I'll say, "Geez, these horses don't need to be going forward with us." And as I said, those 2 horses were Talking Peter and Two of a Kind Hanover. Unfortunately, they're both very well-bred horses. Talking Peter has an incredibly bad attitude, and Two of a Kind Hanover, she doesn't have a horrible attitude. I just don't know how good she is, and yeah, that's unfortunate. But one of those things. Yeah, I'm eating grapes. Anyway, we'll get to the rest of the horses, all the horses right now, and let you know how they were going. First up is Allison. Allison James went with, and I hope you guys got a good look at Allison in their training videos for Saturday. Allison is a very nice looking filly. It's an Uncle Peter filly, pretty well bred. We bought this filly, as you can imagine, it was pretty evident at the sale that this filly had OCDs. Her hocks were big, little swollen. So as you can imagine, there was a drastic price cut on this filly, and we knew there would be. When we got her home, we x-rayed her hocks. Sure enough, she had OCDs. They weren't that big though. They were more irritants than anything else. We had them removed. And hoped for the best. Brought her back. Her hocks are still a little bit swollen, but man, oh man, can she trot. Often in times when you have the swelling in those hocks, it takes a long time for those hocks to really come down. Sometimes they don't come down to normal because that swelling has actually stretched everything out. So there's quite a while before the swelling and the hocks go down. She's training fantastic now, right now, that filly. You're going to get a good look at her, go back and look at the video again. Not a lot of shares left in this filly, but there are some. And this is a filly that is strong, powerful. I mentioned a number of times in the video, in this week, in the email, about how we've changed the racing surface on our track. We've gone to a deeper track with more material, which is great. Better for the horses in the long run, but some of them, it's a transition. Some of these horses need to learn to go in that heavier footing, and it's difficult for them sometimes. So you'll see some breaks. You'll see some horses make mistakes. Not Allison. This is a big, powerful filly. She hits the ground hard. She looks like a miniature Clydesdale, a workhorse, but powerful, strong filly, very durable. And you got to take a quick look at her. We went a mile, I believe, in around 2:33, 2:34 on Saturday, James and I, and it was nasty cold out. If you're anywhere near Ontario, or for the most part on Earth right now in the Northern Hemisphere, you know how cold it's been the last week. What do they call it? An Arctic something or other. Anyway, Allison trained very good. Now, a horse that also trained, but didn't train very good for the first time maybe ever, Anteros. He was struggling in that deeper track. We don't have as much grab on him up front, obviously. Not as much weight. So a horse like Allison hits the ground hard, drives into that surface pretty good. Actually, the firmer, harder track would probably bother her. This deeper track, she gets through it no matter what, so it's not a problem. You have a horse like Anteros, hits the ground very light, very quick on his feet. And we have probably a 9/16 shoe on him up front, where most of our other trotters will wear a 5/8. But when we heard the track firmer, he struck the ground very, very quietly, very gently, and get over the ground great. But now there's a little surface there, he has to hit the ground, and that footing is not the same. So you can see it coming out of every turn. When Mario went with him on Saturday, you can see Anteros just get a little shuffly. I hate when that phone does that. Get a little shuffly and get out of gear, and he did, in fact, make a couple of breaks. So, not a big concern. Going to make a little shoeing adjustment on Anteros. You're not going to see that next time we go with these horses. Arctic Force, he did not go Saturday, but did train. All these horses still trained. For the most part, it's been what you see, what you get. I mean, these horses have been the same for the last little while. Arctic Force has looked fine. Beach Boutique. I can look at the other side of the time. All Kazaam. Yours if you want it. All these horses have always looked the same. The horses I showcased the other day, and I didn't pull any punches about it, these are horses that have a number of shares left. We are about to embark on a fairly significant marketing and advertising campaign in the general public. These shares are going to disappear. So I simply looked at the horses that had a lot of shares left that I thought would be intriguing to our clients. Maybe they missed the horses. Maybe they thought, and what happened the other day was a lot of people just said knockdown drag out was a lot of money. We're going to wait until she absolutely looks like a monster, and then we're going to buy her. Well, somebody beat you to it. A gentleman from Quebec called and bought every share of knockdown drag out that we had left. I didn't even have enough common sense to put shares aside. So now I don't have any, and maybe you don't either. So for those of you out there that are sandbaggers a little bit and waiting for these shares, just waiting for the horse to prove that offering price is not just fair but probably lower than what the horse is worth. In cases like knockdown drag out, you waited too long. I don't have any shares either, but I thought I would bring some horses to your attention before we started this campaign. Horses that I thought were interesting looking horses that still had a lot of shares left. I could have easily videoed 20. I picked 10. Now Mother Nature helped you with that. James had to leave, it was cold. We had a couple more we could have went with. I could have went with Brush Cut, a couple of those horses, but these are the ones I picked. So Anteros and Allison were two of them. You're going to see the rest of them in the videos below. Arctic Force trained great also. 236 on Saturday looked good. Beach Boutique trained fantastic. Also, on Saturday, she went a mile in 2:34. Beach Bum BB has been looking better and better and better every single week. No shares left in Beach Bum BB. I can bring the owners a video of Beach Bum BB. You'll probably get one next week. But Saturday were for shares of horses that had shares left that I felt probably shouldn't. Beach Bum BB looked good, went a mile in 2:36. I'm trying to think of who trained with who. This was all going on as we were training horses. We had 3-year-olds. We brought you some 3-year-old videos. You've been asking for them, and we brought them. The 2-year-olds were out training also. In some of the 3-year-old videos, you'll see the horses go by. Horses that are finishing up their miles or starting their miles. Those are 2-year-olds that trained also. Everybody's been training, but the horses that James and I went with were horses that I wanted to showcase. So, anyway, Beach Bum BB trained great. Bend Over went good. He's getting better every week. I actually mentioned his name in Gelding the other day. I put maybe because I don't really feel he needs it just yet. And he may not. But he must have seen the video because he went out and trained great the next 2 times we trained him. He trained fantastic. So Bend Over starting to look like the horse we waited to. Here's a perfect example. And for the people that had patience and hung on to your shares of Bend Over, through a number of reasons, maybe nobody bought them, but or you just steadfast, Bend Over is starting to grow and become the horse we wanted to. And I think you're slowly now going to see him creep forward into, geez, you know, Bend Over looked good today, rather than, oh, Bend Over didn't look so bad today. That transition from mediocre to good is something that I'm always happy to see. and something I think you'll see with Bend Over moving forward. Bottle of Red is one of the horses we did train. I have no idea why shares of Bottle of Red were even out there. I didn't realize she had so many shares available until I looked at what horses I was going to go with. This filly's a monster. She's a big filly. I think the problem was we bought her at Goshen, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe earlier. And I believe a lot of people, because she always gated quick, we always kept her in the mix. Never really showed her off. Never did anything wrong, so I never really went with her that often, where I would show her off for you. And I think the people that went with her just kind of went through the motions every week with her. And you didn't get a real good sense of how Bottle of Red looked. But you got a good look at her the other day. You watch when James pulls her out of the hole and attacks down the lane with her. Man, oh man, I didn't even know how big this filly was until he rolled up alongside me. The filly I was with, and you'll see this filly, Need Your Opinion, I was really happy with her. But Bottle of Red, she clearly looked, but now Bottle of Red was broke and was putting miles on when Need Your Opinion was still in the field in Chatham. So simply just an age gap there, and an experience gap there. But Bottle of Red definitely looks like she's on her way to being a nice filly. Brush cut again. James had to leave. He was on the list to train. Not really a big deal. There's some shares there, but they'll sell. I mean, Brush Cut's just a good-looking horse. You can't deny how good Brush Cut looks. So I'm not really concerned with. Is that better? Oh no, that's annoying. I'm really not that concerned with Brush Cut shares. They're gonna sell. He's trained great all the time, looks great all the time, and trained great again on Saturday. Went out 1 mile in 2:35, right on, just like a racehorse. Just 4 even quarters. Gislin, the guy who works for us, went with him. He said, geez, I can't get over how nice this colt is. But he's always been nice, that colt. You don't like him. I just don't know how. Or the next horse I'm going to talk about. She's sold out also. Brush Cut is just a really nice horse. Cabernet looked great. Mile in 2:31 on Saturday. This filly, as I said to you a month ago at least, as she starts to put weight on and mixes that in with experience and power and strength and muscle, you're going to see a really nice filly emerge, and that's exactly what you've seen. And a gentleman called and said, Anthony, can you, I'll buy as many shares of Cabernet as you can find. And I sent an email out to some clients that own some shares. And I feel bad I didn't send an email out to all of them, but I thought he accumulated maybe 16 shares of this filly, which seemed like that was enough. He was happy, and that was that. But for those of you who didn't sell your shares of Cabernet, I think you'd be happily surprised this summer. Really nice filly, really starting to turn some heads, as she should. This is a well-bred filly right here. Canadian Titan, trained in 2:37 every week, getting better. She was really immature physically immature when we broke her, making a lot of breaks, a lot of mistakes. If you go back, you want to know what I'm talking about experience, maturity, muscle, understanding your job. Go back and look at the first few videos of Canadian Titan, and then watch her progression as she gets better and better and better. And you can only extrapolate that, and the sky's the limit for that filly. I certainly can't tell you how good she's going to be, but I can tell you she's getting better every single week. So Canadian Titan was very good. Capistrano, I've been enamored with this filly from the first day I saw her, how impressive she was. She doesn't have a tenth of the experience, track experience, muscle that any of these other horses have. She can go with any of them. This is a very, very nice filly. War We Needy is not going to turn heads as a sire. Not for a bit. Just because he didn't breed a lot of good mares, I think, is the biggest reason. We have 2 of them in the barn. I like both of them. And Capistrano, whether you like War We Needy, whether you like the mare, whether you like the breeding, eventually you are all going to look at Capistrano and say, geez, that's a nice filly. I don't know why that gets blurry. Because she simply is. So Capistrano trained again. We're going to back her off and get her back up into that 250 range. I went a mile in 2:35 the other day. That was lots. Should have been lots for her. Came off the track, couldn't blow a match out. Had no business going in 2:35, but did and looked good doing it. We're going to back her up and train her now 2:45 to 2:50 for the next month, and then we'll cut her loose again. As I said, this is a case-by-case basis with this filly. She's not going to be broken, trained down the same as the other horses. 1, she came in very late, and 2, she's very talented. So we have to understand that she can probably do more than she should be doing, and maybe keep a very close eye on her. I think this is a very nice filly, and I think she's going to prove that in the future. But I didn't. Now there's a perfect example. She's only been in 3 weeks. I didn't want to show her off because I want to allow her to be a nice filly. So she didn't make it into the videos. I didn't want to train her and you know, shine a spotlight on her. She's going to have enough of a spotlight shone on her in the coming months. You know, here's an Ontario bred filly, very, very nice filly, very modestly priced. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this filly also. I guess I could have won a slow mile with her and showed her off, but the weather being the weather, I didn't want to bombard people with 20 horses that they already knew about. I want to show them a small grouping of horses that I think shouldn't have shares left that did, and clearly Capistrano, after talking, fits into that, but I didn't go with her. Just keep a close eye on her. How's that? Maybe she'll bottom out, maybe she won't turn into a nice horse, but she definitely has the makings of one, and I'm very, very happy with what I've seen from her so far. Cheatin' Dixie, a lot of people have asked questions, where's Cheatin' Dixie, what's she doing? Her knees are bothering her. They bothered her for quite a while, and pretending they don't isn't going to help her. Now, just so you know, the colt that we had by Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe that I trained down exhibited the exact same gap in his schedule. These gaps where we simply had to slow down. We had to stop with him twice in the summer, or twice before the summer, and he ended up winning 6 of 7 races, I think, at 2. What the hell's his name? The good colt. It'll come to me. Every time I say that to you, and every time I forget about him when I first... Anyway, he took a mark of 52 this year, one of the better horses in Canada, and he was a Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. His knees were bothering him also, and he'll be just fine. He was just fine, and she will be also. Just have to use the same common sense with her. Let her knees mature. Let her get her feet under. Now there's a horse that has benefited from our resurfacing of the track. Definitely Cheatin' Dixie has. So Cheatin' Dixie, we'll probably train her for the first time next week. You'll get a look at her again, but her knees do bother her. This isn't a stop phone, or I'm gonna get angry. This isn't a horrible thing. It's just a thing. So we're going to take our time with Cheatin' Dixie and make sure she gets the races and stays sound, and that's exactly what we are doing. Classic Con, he was a horse I went with. I thought this horse was sold out until I looked at the site. Still had 25 shares left. You guys didn't get a chance to see him, though, because Curtis used a different drone, and apparently it froze up or something. He only got a half a mile or a quarter of a mile in. Maybe he'll show you that video. I don't know if he has a clip of it, but Classic Con looked great. First time I've gone with him, maybe ever, and he looked very, very strong. We won a mile in 2:34. Who did James have? Oh crap, that was Aleson's video. I think James had Aleson. Oh well, if the video ends up on the email, great. If it didn't, it did. I guess you're gonna have to take my word for it with Aleson and Classic Con. They both trained very, very good on Saturday. I'm gonna stop for just 1 second, see if I can turn a light on in here. It's getting a little dark. What happens when you run out of time in the day, even on a Sunday. So we'll be right back in 1 second to tell you all about Classy Will. Well, we're back. Curtis knows that I work out of my car, so Curtis being Curtis, he bought me this little light in case I ever did this in the dark. Not that I couldn't have done this Monday, but I get into my list. I wanna get it cleaned up and get it done so we can get these videos to you guys. This is what it takes, you know. Even on a Sunday, I had to go to I didn't have to. I went to the gym. Kids wanted to go. There's a playroom at the gym, so the kids wanted to go to the gym, and I had to do grocery shopping, and Amy was at the hospital with Adeline. She's coming home in a week, so she's at the hospital four times a day to feed now. The hospital's like 20 minutes away, but takes up a lot of your day, even on Sundays. So I used the light that Curtis gave me. It works great. Anyway, we ended off with Classic Con. So next is Classy Will. Now, Classy Will's a lot like Bottle of Red. People just haven't noticed Classy Will. You know, he's an Ohio bred horse by an obscure sire, even if it is the same sire as Wiglet Jiglet, I believe. Classy Will is not going to get a lot of play just because he's there. He's present. The guy that goes with him every week never shows him off, just kind of trains him, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. unless we're selling shares, which we do here at the stable. So Classy Will, I believe Classy Will must be sold out, or I would have put him in the list, I guess, I think. But Classy Will has done everything right since day one. Pace is nice, a little strong in the face sometimes, but he just wants to get at it and do his work. So I like going with him. I've gone with him a couple of times. I'm going to continue to go with him a few times and stretch him out a little bit. Somebody asked me, I said in an earlier video, he had a long loafy gait. They said, oh, what do you mean? Is he lazy? And I said, no, he's got that long kind of lackadaisical gait, but lots of really, really good horses had very similar gaits. There's certainly nothing wrong with this gait. It's more of a descriptive word. Certainly not a knock on Classy Will. So Classy Will has been going great and looks good. A horse we did we put this filly in Compass Rose DC? I don't think we did. Huh. Again, Mother Nature cost us a training trip with Compass Rose DC. I assumed she was going to be in our training sets, but was not. This is a filly that, again, there's some shares left in her, and she's done very, very well. Jason goes with her a lot. First time he went with her, he said she was cranky and crabby. I think what it was she's touching herself. This is, and by touching herself, I mean when she trots. She touches her ankle once in a bit. Lots of good trotters do. Lots of horses do. Johan does. I mean, Lawmaker did. White Tiger does. I mean, these are normal, everyday occurrences for training and racing. Sometimes. Now the last two times he went with her, he said she was much better. That's since we got all the material on the track. Clearly, she likes a deeper track for her gait also. So good. Compass Rose DC has been great. She went a mile, and I'm just trying to think who went with her. I'd love to tell you how much she went. I don't know how much she went, but I know she trained in 2:34 the week before, so it doesn't really matter. They're still ahead of the curve being the vast majority of people. So Compass Rose DC, no concerns with her. She's getting better every single week and looks great doing it. Crazy Mission made a little break the other day. We were teasing Colin Kelly when he made a break because he'd been so good of late with Mario, and Colin said it was his fault. He pushed him off his feet and made a little break, and he did. Not the end of the world, though. He came back and trained again on Wednesday, trained really, really good. Trained good on Saturday. Mario went with him again, said he was very good. He's right up with them also, just getting his confidence built. You know, there's a colt that's been in 236, 237. No concerns here from his speed. Mentally, he went through that month where he was horrible. And, you know, getting over that takes some time. So, and that's exactly what we're doing right now with our boy Crazy Mission. Don't believe me, just watch. This is a colt I could have easily put into the training group between James and I on the weekend. This colt, I saw him on the track Saturday train. I know he went a mile in 2:32, and he looked really, really good. This is a colt that quietly got better. Looked like a little runt when we got him. Made breaks, set a gear. Didn't really do anything right or special, certainly, that anybody would talk about him. But he's slowly been getting better. And, you know, this is a horse, and this story behind this horse, we got this horse for a little bit of cash, and I traded a broodmare that we were, a horse that we were training down that just didn't make the cut last year, Peregrine Blue Chip. We traded Peregrine Blue Chip and some cash for Don't Believe Me, Just Watch, and I retained almost all the shares. I had no hopes or dreams of this horse. I just want to see a horse train down, be effective, and see what he looks like. And the first 2 months, he just didn't look effective. He looked small, weak, but now he's starting to pack some weight on, getting a little attitude to him too. He went out and trained on Saturday, and he caught my eye. I saw him coming from across the track, and I watched him. Gislin went with him. He went a mile in 2:32, and he was really, really good. This is a colt that's going to, especially for his price, again, as we march back into the general public, we're looking for affordable horses that people are going to be interested in. Here's an Ontario bred with a lot of shares left that aren't expensive. Probably going to be an interesting horse for a lot of people moving throughout the spring. The type of horse that we need also. The inventory, I talked to you about this. People send me emails all the time, say, Anthony, geez, you got a lot of shares. I need them. I need them for about what we're about to do in the general public. Not just here, but all over North America. So when it comes to shares, I'm exactly where I need to be. Maybe a little bit short, if anything. And where it comes to horses being affordable, available, and Ontario breds, for the people that are in Ontario, obviously is helpful also. So don't believe me, just watch as a horse that's probably going to be attractive to a lot of people in the coming months. Effusive continues to look great, has never had any shares left for quite a while. One of our better horses and can really trot and look great again at training on Saturday. This is one of our weekly heavyweights that we all talked about him when I first went with him those first couple of weeks, and he really opened my eyes to how talented and as I said, classy he is. The guy that goes to them, Mark just goes with the horses, and he's competent and he does an okay job, but he's not going to make it into the Hall of Fame, unfortunately, Mark. But he gets him around, and they take care of one another. Effusive takes care of Mark, and Mark takes care of him. So he looks good. One of these days, probably when we get Colin out, and Colin and James and maybe one of the other drivers come out, we'll cut him loose again. You'll get a look at how talented this colt really is. But for now, you're just going to have to read between the lines and watch him closely. Take my word for it, he's one of our best colts. Emerald Mist looks great week in and week out. This is a filly that has impressed me for quite some time, impressed Jason. He's gone with her a number of times. Just a very fast filly. She went through a growth spurt the last 3 weeks, and you could tell. And even Jason said 2 weeks ago, he said, you know, the filly wasn't quite as good today. And I said, yeah, just look at her. You can see her sprouting up. I said, just same thing as next week. Next time you go with her, just duck her, sprint her maybe once, keep her inside her comfort zone, and then when she feels a little more comfortable in 2 weeks' time, cut her loose. And she was really good the last time. Jason said she was very good. I know when I went with her, the 2 times I went with her, so I thought she was a powerhouse. So I was very happy with Emerald Mist. Enjoying my life. What do you want me to say about enjoying my life? Always been one of our better horses. Flawless, beautiful gait, well bred. She's what I would consider as close to the total package as you would have right now, and has been for quite some time. 1, 2, 3, 4. It seems like perfect gait on any size track, on any track surface. Just smart filly, and just a nice filly. Enduring Strength was castrated on the weekend. He's doing everything right. Just as I said to our clients, and a couple of them needed clarification, and maybe 1 or 2 of them weren't that happy that we gelded Enduring Strength. But our job here at the stable is to search out, train down, and develop the best racehorses we can for what we're given. And we're not in the stallion business. And we gelded White Tiger last year for the exact same reason that Enduring Strength is now castrated, and that is because they were going to get out of hand, and people don't understand this, and I know that there's some people that don't believe it, but my job is to, as I said, get the horse to the races and turn it into the best racehorse we can. White Tiger would not have been White Tiger last year had he remained a stud, and my concern is Enduring Strength would not be Enduring Strength if we didn't castrate him right now. And that may be up for debate among some circles, but not this one. So Enduring Strength is now a gelding. Excellent Nation was not on my gelding radar, and James asked me to the other day. He said, this is going to be a nice horse if he's a gelding. He's really fast, but he's got that, I'll put it to you this way. When you ask a horse to move forward, they can do a number of things. They can bounce abruptly out of their skin and really pace forward or trot forward. Either one. They can hesitate, they can pin their ears, or they can not do their work until they're asked a little more forcibly. And James said the first time you tap him on the tail, he kind of pins his ears a little bit. The second time you tap him, he bolts. He said, but, and James knows how I think, because James McDonald has only ever worked for me in his life. Now, James McDonald's a well-accomplished driver, world driving champion, and take nothing away from, very, very talented driver, and a smart kid, got a good head on his shoulders, but he understands what he's looking at when it comes to the babies. And he said the same thing, and as soon as he said it, I knew what he was talking about. First time I tapped him on the tail, he hesitated and pinned his ears. Second time I snapped him on the tail, he was gone. He's a very fast colt. He said, but he's going to need to be a gelding. And I completely agree. I'd said that to Danny. Danny said, wow, he's a little moody. And it's funny because Danny's usually the first guy to say, castrate him right away. And he didn't. He was a little surprised that James said that. But nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on him the next week. And there's like 4 horses ahead of him. We have, let's say we have 30 30 colts in the barn. I would say when it's all said and done, between now and March 1st, we'll have 6 geldings, which I don't think by any stretch of the imagination is a high number, or something you would say is you know, we don't go around just castrating horses. I'll leave them a stud. Johan can be bad sometimes, but I think he's a much better stud, just because he's got a little attitude to him, but he moves when you ask him, and he's got a little edge to him. There's a thin line there. You know, all I ask is that horses do their work, and when it comes to a horse like Enduring Strength, he needed to be gelded. And again, Excellent Nation, if this is going to become a habit, then he'll be castrated also. Right now, we've put his name on the list in pencil. He won't be castrated till it makes it on there in pen, but Excellent Nation, he's got a strike against him already. But very fast colt. If you watch the video training, you'll see 2 things that happened in that training video between James and I. You'll see the first time Miss Brampton Beast has ever made a break, again, the footing, and you'll see an extremely strong, powerful colt in Excellent Nation. Gonna have a lot of fun with this guy this year. Whether it be a gelding or a stud, he's gonna be, I think, a decent racehorse for us in Ohio. Next is Fox Valley Shazam. This filly, I don't know if you've paid attention or not, but amongst the top 3-5 in our barn. Very strong, very powerful filly, very well-bred filly. She's a sister, I believe, to the stud out in Illinois that Pizzazzed, that was breeding a lot of mares. This is his sister. Very, very nice filly, and I don't have to talk her up. She can fly. And I don't know how much they trained her, but I know how much she can go, and I have no concerns with Fox Valley Shazam. Film Fanatic's been in 238. Looks really, really good. Starting to put some muscle and some weight on. Exactly what we want to see. When he first came in the barn, I said, that guy's going to need to be a gelding. He was ripping everything apart, jumping around, and just being bad. Now he's not. Now he's very focused and does his work. So you see quite a transition. Much like a horse we'll talk about in a minute, Libero Hanover. Again, all indications pointed the first week we had them that they would be castrated, and I don't think either of these 2 colts will be when it's all said and done. So quite a difference, 2 different sides of the spectrum, especially with Film Fanatic. A horse that you may pay attention to after Saturday is Forged in Fire. This is a Yankee Glide colt. Made a couple of breaks even on me training. Was really good one week, and then I didn't go with him. He made a break on Ricky, then he made a break on Colin Kelly, and then we made some shoeing adjustments. Ooh, quite a different horse on Saturday, a mile and 2:31, and looked very impressive. Just take a look at the training session I'm talking about. There was 3 of us out there. Now, 2 horses that really struggled over the surface were Anteros, who never has struggled, and the filly Patho Totality. They both made breaks in the training mile, but it wouldn't have mattered. This guy was wrapped up in a bull the other day. You know who he looks like? Go back last year and look at last year's videos. Look at Stonebridge Simba. Look how he trained down. Look at his gait and his attitude. It's almost a clone, just a twin. And Forged in Fire is extremely well-bred, a lot of talent, a lot of power in that frame, and he trained awesome. Here's a horse that could have become, and may become, a gelding. Not on the list, no real reason to just yet. He can get a little aggressive in the barn, bounce around and be a little noisy on the track, but when I trained him, there was no hesitation when he was going. Really, really impressed with what I saw Saturday from Forged in Fire. French Twist, he's the other Angus Hall. Not shockingly enough, he was the first castration of the year. No, that's not true. The second castration of the year. But French Twist was starting to get bad, much worse than Enduring Strength was. So I've been very happy with French Twist, but he was just getting a little erratic and out of control, and we did castrate him. Next was Frontier Cruise. Nice little mile, exactly perfect, 2:35 on Saturday. This horse has been even Steven since we got him. He does everything right. He just kind of flies. I don't know how a horse that big and that beautiful flies under the radar. There are still shares left in him, and again, we could have showed him off. I think you see a trend. We weren't that worried about showcasing the Ontario bred horses, because there's going to be I believe there's going to be an influx of Ontario clients moving forward as we start to market and advertise and hopefully get into the mainstream market, so to speak. This spring, I believe we'll maybe have some press, and in doing so, not too concerned with the shares in the Ontario horses. That doesn't mean that I don't think you should buy them. I shouldn't have to tell you to be looking at Frontier Cruise. And if you feel that maybe you're misled because I didn't, have a look at Frontier Cruise, because Frontier Cruise is always a good looking horse. Fusspot, I'm going to keep it down to a minimum. I've talked about an average of 8 minutes about Fusspot. She trained good on Saturday. How's that? 9 seconds. Fusspot's a really nice filly. One of our nicest, and trained well again on Saturday. Not shockingly. Globetrotting. There's no shares left in her, so I'll just give it to you straight. Globetrotting was a horse that I had a lot of hope for. I had a lot of interest in. And she was sick at the start, not quite as strong as I would have hoped she'd be. And I gave her the time. She was a big filly. I thought, she'll come around. And as she stayed healthy, she didn't really bounce the way I thought she would. Now, this could be for a number of reasons. Maybe she's not as good as I thought she was. Maybe she's not as strong as I thought she was or could be. Maybe she's just not ready yet. A number of things going through my head, and as I said to you in the drone the other day, when we went on the track with her, we had the hobbles on her, and she wouldn't wear them. She'd run, gallop, canter, wouldn't trot with them on, which to me was a pretty good indicator that although she trained well without the hobbles, there was too much weight for her to trot with them. As I'd said to you before, if you guys have paid attention in a number of other videos, when you put the hobbles on these horses, some of them take to them right away. But horses with a lot of weight that have the beautiful long gaits, sometimes it takes some time because the hobbles actually shorten their gait up, and they fight the hobbles, so they can't go with them on. So what we did was we took all the weight off of Globetrotting, took all the weight off her, and just went with a nice light shoe. Probably the opposite of what you do to get a trotter to trot this time of year, but we got lots of time. Trial and error. Lighten her shoes up, put the hobbles on her. I trained her in 2:29, the fastest horse in the barn on Wednesday. I wasn't coming back with a fast mile on Saturday, and she sold out too, so who was I going to showcase her to? Same clients that have watched her, they know what I'm talking about. If you bought into Globetrotting, you're very interested in what she's doing, you're going to see a much different Globetrotting next time she goes on the track. Man, oh man, very impressive. Probably one of the biggest turnarounds I've seen in such a short time. It was like immediately. We put the shoes on her on Monday. I trained her on Wednesday. She went from a flashy, nice 238, 239, 237 to an impressively powerful 229 under wraps. Came in off the track, ears up, couldn't blow a match out, $8 lunch. She was pretty proud of herself too. And that's the one thing a lot of people don't get to see, is what happens after the training. For me, what happens after the training is every bit as important as what happens during the training. How do they feel after the training trip? They eat their lunch? They sulking in the corner? They sharp? They get their head out? Are they proud of what they just accomplished and did? These things may sound silly to you. It's very, very important when you see how a horse is training down. When you see a horse that just worked harder and faster than any horse in the barn, she's got her ears up and can't blow a match out, and eats all her lunch and has got her head out playing all afternoon. There's a horse that's well on her way to being a nice horse, and put a smile on my face, that's for sure, because this was my top pick from Ohio when we got them in. Virtually was outside of Run Valiant, who I obviously liked and will continue to like. He showed how talented he was last week. Globetrotting is just a naturally gifted, beautiful horse to watch trot. Very happy with what I've seen from her. Gold Watch. This horse got a pus pocket in his foot. He made a break the day before the drone the other day. Looked great in the drone. Day before the drone, you'd see a mark on his foot. He jumped on his foot. A bruise. Sometimes that you can get a little surface infection in there. If there's a little cut, you don't notice. You get a little surface infection. It can fester. Sits in his foot like a pus pocket. And that's what happened to Gold Watch. He couldn't walk on Saturday. He was very lame. We weren't going to showcase him or anything. We were going to give him another couple of weeks to get his legs under him. This is a very, very talented colt. Very happy with what I've seen from him, and no concerns with the pus pocket. Just explaining to you how they do form from time to time, and they do take place. And go watch. I suspect on Monday when we win, he'll be sound. Harness AM, again, nice filly. It's a Father Patrick filly. I think everybody quietly cheers for this filly. If you don't have any shares in her, maybe you don't know she's there. But if you have shares in her, you know what I'm talking about. This is an impressive looking filly with a lot of upside and a lot of talent jammed into her frame. She is a good looking filly, and when we put the hobbles on her, oh, she turned into a different horse too. She moves like a pacer now. You just move her, start her, stop her, start her, stop her. Just exactly what you hope to see in a horse. Just a very, very nice horse. And Danny loves this mare to death, and I don't blame him. She's just beautiful filly. Havana Anna, another filly. Yeah, there's no shares left because Jim Baffy and I own them all. We have 50% of her each. Actually, he had given some shares away to friends for Christmas. So good for you. Good for you, Jim. Very, very nice. They had contacted us and watched Havana Anna train. This is a filly I really like. I think she's powerful, and I think she enjoys her work. I didn't go with her on Saturday, and we haven't really put any shares of her up for sale. I might at some point. I didn't feel the need to right now, but very impressive filly. Now, a lot of people are down on the Guccios, except for the Amish apparently. If you saw the video where he sold for, what, $300,000 in an Amish sale. A lot of people were down on the Guccios. If you remember last year, Bay Jewel, a lot of hopes still for her, but had a lot of hopes last year that were dashed. She was a Guccio, and then that good colt that we were training down that got injured in that freak accident, we ended up giving him away. He was a Guccio also, and I certainly have no problems with them. And Havana Anna has done nothing but impress me since the day she came in the barn. So keep your eye on Havana Anna. Two things: one, I think you're going to be impressed and see a very talented filly, and two, we might end up selling shares of her at some point. Hometown Boys, every time he goes, he gets better. Another 236 mile on Saturday. Did it very, very easy. Starting to learn his work now, as I was explaining to you. Another unforeseen hurdle is when people send their horses to get broke at the Amish. The Amish work them and work them and work them, as you can imagine. But they don't show them much speed. So when you get the horses, they just look like slobs. They can't do their work. This colt's getting better every single week, and I've been very, very happy with what I saw from him. First day I went with him, I'm like, oh my God, look at this. And he wasn't that impressive for 3-4 weeks, and he is now. He's starting to come around. Really happy with what I've seen from Hometown Boys. I'll Play It Alone. Another horse that was a little bit, he was having a trouble transitioning on that surface. Made a very uncharacteristic break last week. Now Danny had made some changes on his equipment, pulled his hobbles in a hole, put brace bandages on him behind, I believe, and he said he trained fantastic on Saturday. I personally didn't see him train, but I know Danny was very, very happy with him. Inland Beach trains great all the time. This is a nice filly. She was sold out quick, so I didn't showcase her, and I will. I'll go with her again, but you guys had seen a couple of videos, one for sure where I went with her, where she just floored me, how talented and just a nice filly. How nice she actually was, and very, very happy with her. Jailhouse Master. I didn't see Jailhouse Master go on Saturday. We had changed his shoes. He's such a nice horse, this horse. I always tell everybody how nice he is. And when we had changed his shoes to a turned around shoe, which left for an open toe because he was interfering behind, but he's growing so much. He's just going through a growth spurt, and when they put all that material on, he's like, man, I can't do this. He couldn't work. He trained well the other day, but he was absolutely exhausted when he came in. So still ate his lunch and felt good, but was tired when he came in. He had quite the workout at the gym that day, that's for sure. But Jailhouse Master, we made the same shoeing changes to him, the exact same actually, that we made to Globetrotting. And I did not see Jailhouse Master train on Saturday, but I'm excited to go with him on Wednesday. Johan looked great, as he always does every single week. Just a really, really nice horse. This is one of the Sebastian K's that has turned our heads, turned my head for certain, since the first day we got him. Certainly very impressed with Johan. Just For Me and You, another filly. Maybe you guys haven't paid enough attention to Just For Me and You. She sold out, no shares left. Maybe you're not paying attention. Very Very nice filly. She's been as fast as virtually every horse in the barn and has done it very, very easily. One of the few horses that stays trotting or pacing for Ricky every week. Ricky gets to go there. We're looking for those very special horses that Ricky can keep trotting or pacing every week. I tease Ricky, but it's true, Ricky. You got terrible hands. Anyway, just for me and you, Ricky likes her as he should. Just a beautifully gaited filly. Powerful filly now, strong, clean gaited, does everything right. Just a really nice horse. As the next one is Knockdown Dragout. I don't have to talk anybody up on Knockdown Dragout. Something happened this week with Knockdown Dragout, though, that upset a lot of people. A lot of people were out there and saw there was 33 shares there, and her price was up pretty high, $6.85 a share. It's pretty high for this time of year. So I think a lot of people were waiting a little bit, and waiting a little bit, and waiting a little bit, and a gentleman came in and bought every share, every single one. I didn't. I owned a lot of shares of her at the start of the year, and all of my shares were on the market, and I never really thought of keeping any, and they're all gone now. So I don't have any of Knockdown Dragout either, but clearly one of our more talented horses, just a beast on the track, and looked good again training on Saturday. Libero Hanover, quietly every bit as good as probably any of the top 10 horses. I think this horse went from a real nasty little bugger when we broke him to a really, really nice colt, and I think you're all gonna you know, take a look at this colt at some point and say, yeah, he's really nice. He's a Cantab Hall out of a good family. Shouldn't be a surprise. Libero Hanover, just a very, very nice horse. McPherson Thunder, we castrated McPherson Thunder. He was a little moody, just doing the wrong things at the wrong time. Not horribly, just focus. Needs to focus. So he had jumped on his quarter and cut his quarter, and his feet were a little warm. We changed his shoes around, and he got a little bit sick the last drone day, and I said to Mero, you know what? Needs a little break, this fella. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to geld him and give him 3 weeks off. That's exactly what we're going to do. No concerns with McPherson Thunder. This is a big, beautiful, strong colt, and I think the corks bug the hell out of him too. So when we get those corks off in March, I think you're going to see, and his brother did last year too. If you remember, his brother was a much better horse in March when we got the better when we got the corks off, and he ended up being a much better pacer after that, and this guy is also. So McPherson Thunder now a gelding and on rest. Marzank Hanover looked great again on Saturday, a mile on 2:37. The boys in the bottom barn went with her. She's in the bottom barn. I don't ever get a chance to go there. She's done everything right since day one, but everybody that goes there says, wow, what a beautiful filly, and she does look some kind of flashy on the track. So Marzank Hanover looks great also. Master Treaty, I can't believe it. We're talking about horses that might need to leave. The last 3 times he trained, people said, no, he looks better. I'm not going to spend much time talking about Master Treaty and his progression or otherwise, but apparently, by all accounts, he looks better. So we'll leave it at that. Master Treaty. Some forward progress from Master Treaty. So we're going to stop at Master Treaty. I'm going to be back in just a second. I'm really dragging my feet on these babies, trying to give you guys a real look at how I see them. And I'm dragging my feet, and I'm only halfway through the list, or 2/3 of the way through the list. We'll be back in just 1 second with McNugget. Well, we're back. We're back now, and McNugget looks good on the track. It's funny because every time Ricky goes there, he says she's on the right line, and then every time anybody else goes there, they say she's fine. So I don't know if Ricky's right hand is heavier than his left one, but I went with her 3 weeks ago. I thought she was fantastic. And who went with her the other day? Colin, maybe? I remember them saying they really liked the way she paced. This is a really well-bred, flashy filly, and I think she's only going to get better. As I told you 6-7 weeks ago, as that weight comes off her, she was obese. And as that weight comes off her, you're going to see that polish starts to kick in. You're going to see a really good-looking filly, and that's exactly what you're looking at. Take the time to watch her go next time she goes. McNugget is well on her way to being a racehorse. Miss Brampton Beast. Oh, goodness. First time she's ever made a break, I think, in her life was the other day. I certainly don't remember the last time she did as she did. Just pacing into that turn hard. Lost her focus and made a break. She got a long hobble. Really long hobble, really low head. Beautiful filly. Probably, maybe need to stung them hobbles up a little bit next time. But I don't have to talk about Miss Brampton Beast. There is a filly. Virtually the whole premise of having the videos done on Saturday to showcase horses was for her. I was pulling my hair out. I'm like, how is there shares left in this filly? I don't know. I don't know. There's shares left in her, and there shouldn't be any. So Miss Brampton Beast made a little break on Saturday, but I think that will be easily rectified next time she goes. Miss Mischief Maker, another filly. She's sold out. Should be sold out. Quietly one of her best horses. Mario really likes her. He's gone with her the last 2 times. Really impressed with her. Pretty hard not to be impressed with her. You don't like Miss Mischief Maker, you just don't like horses. So, really, really good-looking filly. Muscle Chrome, quietly becoming one of our better fillies also. Definitely, I would say, in the top 15, 20, which might not sound important, but it is, because we have 78 horses. Muscle Chrome has been better and better and better since we changed her shoes and put the hobbles on. Now, I haven't checked in with Mario to see, 1, how she trained on Saturday, or 2, how she's getting through that track. She actually wears a bar shoe on her foot. Not really conducive to a deep track, so gonna have to see how she gets through it. But nobody said anything to me about a Muscle Chrome not looking good on Saturday, so I'm gonna assume it's business as usual. And she's been getting great reviews from everybody that goes with her. She's been in 2:37 again, right up there with pretty much as fast as anybody's trained. And I'm very, very happy with her. And as everybody should. When she started, she looked a little lethargic and a little cranky, and just didn't really look like a nice horse. But slowly has got better and better and better, and has looked like a really nice trotting filly over the last month. So Muscle Chrome has been good. Nancy Allison was acting up last drone day. That was my fault, and I told you that. Nancy's got a real not a bad attitude, a strong attitude. She can be cranky, but she does her work. But she's so powerful and strong that if she's not dialed in mentally, if she's not prepared to train on that day, she doesn't look good. And she didn't look good the other day, but that's because we've been turning her out in the field for every day for about 2 hours in the morning, just letting her get the, cool down and get some of that, blow some steam off. And she was in the first set last drone day. That was stupid. That was my fault. She trained great on Saturday. Mario went with her. I watched her go. She was in one of the later little sets. Mario went with Nancy Allison, and the other gentleman that takes care of Nancy Allison and the other horses in that end, he went with Chris Sr. went with the Dio filly, Spirit of Dio, and she looked tremendous. Both of them look great. So very, very happy with them. Nancy Allison, just the way it is. If she was a stud, she'd be a gelding right now, but she's not. And we're just going to have to come to an agreement. There's only so much you can do. You can't make a horse do something. You can show it and show it and show it and show it and show it how to do it. But if it doesn't want to do it, it doesn't want to do it. And Nancy Allison is a very stubborn filly, but very talented, fast filly. And we've come to an agreement. She gets 2 hours in the field every morning, and in return, she behaves herself on the track. So she was great on Saturday. Need your opinion. You can go back and look at the video and need your opinion. This is a beautiful little filly. It hasn't quite turned any heads yet. But again, Matt had put some shares up for sale. If anybody's looking to partner up with Matt on Need Your Opinion, there are some shares now on the site. Very affordably priced, I believe. Matt's a great guy. He's got a nice filly there. She trained a mile in 2:31, I think, on Saturday, and looked good doing it. It's just a really, really nice little filly, and I like what I've seen from both her and the other War We Needy, Capistrano. So both those horses by War We Needy have caught my eye, and I like them both. Olympic Hopeful always does things right. Made a little break the other day on Colin Kelly. Colin said after, he goes, "That's my fault. She put a step in," and he said, "I didn't really have a line on her. I just tapped her on the tail, and I knew better." He said, "She just rolled off." He said, 100% my fault. So Olympic Hopeful, I've said this last week, I'll say it again. As far as natural gaits go, Globetrotting, Olympic Hopeful, there's not too many horses in the barn have that just picturesque gait. And both those fillies are two that definitely do. Olympic Hopeful, one of the nicest gaits in the barn. Overdue Mission finally got her head on square. I told you I would. I couldn't fit her in. I just couldn't work with her. I had so many horses that I was just trying to look at and go with, engage, and Overdue Mission finally got to go the other day. She run, made some shoeing changes, equipment changes, trained her hard again, and again and again, and finally she got it through her head that she's out there to work. I watched her train on Saturday. She looked like a freight train, looked very good. You know, a lot of work and a lot of repetition will do that. And now I believe Overdue Mission, you're going to see what I'm talking about in the coming weeks and months. Path of Totality made a few little breaks. She had a little cut in her mouth. I couldn't understand it. James said she was on the right line, but she wasn't really running in, which doesn't make sense. If she's on the right line, she should be coasting in. She wasn't. Afterwards, there was a cut in her mouth. So just a little cut right where the bit would sit. And every time she'd get into the turn and ran in a little bit, James would check her, and then she would make a break. So it's not a big deal. It's very easy. Just time will fix that. But I am going to make a few little shoeing adjustments with Path of Totality. She's like a twin of Miss Mischief Maker, but smaller. Not much smaller, just maybe a month's work of work smaller. And we're going to try and find that month of work somewhere between here and qualifying day in June, because I really like this filly. She's got a great attitude, beautiful gait. Path of Totality is a nice horse, and shockingly enough had a lot of shares left. So she was a horse that we did showcase the other day, and she made a couple little breaks. So we'll fix that up, clean that up, and get back at her this coming week. Pine Creek, looking better every week. I was a little easy on her this week. I had made a promise to everybody that she would look much better in her next video, and I thought she did. But in doing that, she worked very hard that week. We made a couple of significant shoeing changes and equipment changes, and just wanted to let her relax. Can't work them hard all the time, and we just gave her an easy week of jogging last week. So Pine Creek will be back at it next week. Did not train on Saturday. For a multitude of reasons. Didn't have to. She worked harder than any horse in the barn probably the week before. No, Overdue Mission did. But worked almost as hard as Overdue Mission. But looked good and both of them came around when we did it. Really Blue Chip, I haven't got a chance to go with Really Blue Chip again. I want to, because this is obviously one of her best horses. And I think that Steve and them that went with her, they do a good job, but they don't really put her in gear. I don't think you've got a chance to see Really Blue Chip's top gear yet. You will. I've seen it, and I know she's got some kind of speed. This is a beautiful filly, and I think you're going to see it at some point. Either myself or James, or as they said, Colin, is going to go there, and I'm going to ask him to spark her up, and you're going to see what kind of horse she actually is. When they have all this talent, there's no need to see it all the time. There's no need for me to continuously show you how talented a horse is. You can see for yourself, and you will with Really Blue Chip. Rocking Out Loud, I saw her train. She gets better every time Mario goes with her. She gets a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. She's another cranky little bugger, but a little small to be doing any damage. Now she's working really hard, looking good. She's been in 235, somewhere around there, and has looked great the last few weeks. Now, Rooney Blue Chip was on my list to go them. There are some shares left of Rooney Blue Chip, and I was going to show him off, but I trained him in 231 on Wednesday, and I didn't want to come back 3 days later in the freezing cold to train him hard again. This is a colt that I was extremely impressed with on Wednesday. Impressed enough that I let him out a little bit and let him strut his stuff, so to speak. But I don't want to be doing that back in 3 days with this colt in January, so I opted not to train him under the drone on Saturday. But you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll be going with Rooney Blue Chip next week. I'm going to try to, and you'll get a real good look at what I'm talking about. Really talented colt. Next, we have Run Valiant. Looked incredible in the last drone video. He's also one that's teetering on that gelding. Not so much for his attitude on the track, but in the barn. The grooms have asked me, can we geld this colt? Because he's getting really bad. He struck it at somebody the other day, and he's close. He's penciled in to be gelded, but it hasn't been made official yet. We'll see. I'm really hoping that he'll behave himself when he starts getting a little more work into him. But we'll see. He's got 2 weeks to pull his pants up, or we're going to have to do it for him. So, Run Valiant looked great last week. Looked good again on Saturday. Just a really nice horse. Run Versatile. This is a filly. She wasn't even really ready to go the mile. I showed you her the other day. She went a mile in 2:38, I think, the other day training. Looked great on the track all week. Really, really looks impressive for Run Versatile. So this is a filly that I'm going to have to pay for in the next week or so. So if you want to partner up on a muscle massive horse in the 2019 season, we are going to be accepting partners. I've retained with my wife 50% of Run Versatile, and we will sell 50% of Run Versatile. I like what I see from this filly. I like everything about her, and I believe she's going to be a nice filly. No issues to talk of, and she looked great the other day. Again, go back and look in the video. This is a filly that really had no business going in 238. Probably should have been around 246, 247. Went a little quick with her, but certainly didn't phase her or bother her. Mario went with her on Saturday. I was coming up to go with her, and she blew right by me, up the ramp. Mario went with her, which is great. I was happy that he went with her, and she looked great on the track. So Rose Run Versatile has done everything we've asked her to. Very well-bred, muscle massive filly. This is the filly we had OCDs taken out of her hocks, but you couldn't tell when we took her over. She was just over on the left shaft a little bit, and I wanted to get her looked at, and she ended up with OCDs in her hocks. No swelling. You couldn't tell there was anything wrong with her, but it was a good catch on our part because eventually those hocks would have blown up a little bit from that irritation, and that could have been a problem. Even now, her hocks are like sucked up tight. You couldn't tell there was anything done. The university did a great job in the operation, and she's a nice filly, and she's going to show herself over the next couple of months. Sebastian Ray, I went with him the one day, and I showed him off. He looked really, really good. And then Steve went with him the other day, said, yeah, he's a really nice colt. Eventually, I think he probably may not even need the hobbles. Really good looking colt, though, and does his work well. Now, his brother from another mother, Sebastian Yu, I think what we're going to do is maybe castrate him and turn him out for a different reason altogether. A little bit small and a little bit immature. Not small, because he's still a big colt. But when you look at his stature, I think he should be bigger and stronger for the work we put into him. He also was a little bit sick when we first got him. He had a little mucus and discharge. I think if we geld him and just turn him out for a month, I think he'll still catch everybody up in June and maybe July. And be a good horse for it. So I think that's what I'm leaning to. He's another one. He'll go on the track. Both Sebastian and him will lay his ears on his neck, but they'll do their work when you ask them to. This guy, I think he's just struggling a little bit right now. I still think he's going to be a really nice colt, but I'm going to allow him to be. I think we're going to geld him, turn him out for about 3 or 4 weeks, starting this week coming up. Sometimes things happen. He's the horse Garnet was telling me he's got the really tiny pasterns, really short pasterns. He sent me a message and he goes, can you stop talking about his pasterns? I said, okay, I won't. But I guess I just did. He trained good on Saturday. He looked good. Always happy with this horse. This horse is always looking to do more. He's a worker, and I really like him, and I really like his attitude. Been very happy with him for some time. And I suspect we'll probably have a lot of fun with him this summer. I will break the bad news to Garnet and say he's got a lot of work to do to beat his wife's horse, Knockdown Drag Out. But the good news is he won't have to, he'll never have to race her. So sometimes things happen, just a nice horse to be around. And I hope and pray we have a good summer with him, because I always cheer for the horses that are nice to be around. The ones that look forward to going on the track, have fun on the track, work hard on the track. These are always the horses that I cheer for, and he's definitely one of them. Spend That Money has been quietly one of our better horses all the way through. Got a little heel scratch the other day. She was lame on Saturday, and they didn't train her just from that heel scratch. Not a big deal. No problems whatsoever with Spend That Money. She'll show up very good. I'm going to try and go with her next time in the open house video, or the drone video. Spirit of Dio, as I said, one of the biggest movers of last week. Went from virtual obscurity to who the hell is that in 1 week. She looked very, very good last week and looked very, very good training on Saturday. Very impressed with Spirit of Dio. Sunshine and Shade, Mario obliterated them with him last week. He come a half in like 11 with that colt, which was plenty for this time of year, and an impressive looking mile. Just made a few little shoeing adjustments and put a set of brace bandages on him behind. Totally different horse. He looked great again on Saturday. Susie K looked good, great last week, and looked good again this week training. I caught just a blip. One of the videos when we were doing the drone, as the drone started out, there was a horse finishing up their mile, and it was Susie K, and she looked great. Very happy with Susie K. Horse I'm not too happy about. Look at, they're right back to back. Talking Peter and Two of a Kind Hanover. Send an email out to our clients to let them know I'm not happy with Talking Peter, and I'm not happy with Two of a Kind Hanover. Talking Peter probably has the worst attitude of any horse I've seen in quite some while, in quite some time. And Two of a Kind Hanover doesn't exhibit a ton of talent at this time of year. Does she need to be turned out and, you know, just let her mature? Maybe. But when I look forward at potentially 6 months of training, 6 months of staking, 6 months of training bills, I'm worried. I'm worried. and I think it might behoove us. It might be better for us. It might be better for us if we maybe sell these horses. They might do some good for somebody down the road, but I'm not certain that either Talking Peter or Two of a Kind Hanover will be doing good for us. So there it is. The truth of the matter is, I think we'll probably sell them. There's nothing wrong, I mean, but when we're talking about horses, I would like to believe these are stake horses. They're all going to be stake horses, I hope. But as it becomes apparent or a potential they won't, it's up to me to bring that to you. Whether that hurts or whether that's good or whether that's bad, Two of a Kind Hanover's got a great gait. Doesn't use it. Talking Peter, beautiful gait, lots of talent. Doesn't want to use it. I can't look into the future and say this will change, because I don't believe it will. So both these horses are in a position where they might do somebody some good somewhere, priced accordingly, but I'm not sure it'll be here. So this is an ongoing thing. They're on very, very thin ice, and it's cracking. So conversation we'll have with our clients that own these horses. I own some of both these horses, but the truth of the matter is, you know, this isn't a chop shop. We're not going to buy horses and run bills up on owners. If they're not going to do it, then they're not going to do it, and I don't think these guys are going to do it. So we'll see over the next week where this takes us, but the discussion has been opened, and it will be open for the foreseeable future for these two horses and the clients that own them. Now, Trafalgar is a filly that I do like very much so. She's a sister to Buckingham, a bigger, stronger sister already than Buckingham. She's by a sire named Dally, another horse like War We Needy, maybe not that favored upon in Ontario, but at the same time, there's no denying this is a good-looking filly. Mario sat behind her once last week and said, gee, she's a really nice filly. He didn't know who she was by, if she was in Ontario bred or not. He just really liked her, and there's not a whole lot not to like about her. For a filly that goes out and looks as good as she does on the track with such little work into her, with such little experience, it's a good-looking horse. It only makes her look even better. Time All Dazzle. I've never gone with Time All Dazzle, I don't think, since the first week we broke her. Just, she's always looked so good, and they were very protective of her. We're going to cut her loose this week. She's going to train a good mile. She's been in 38. I would suspect she'll go a mile in 2:30 training this week if the weather and the track hold up. Time All Dazzle, we're going to tighten her bolts up and really show her off the next drone video. Don't have to. The gentleman that bred her owns her. Time All Farms owns this filly for the most part. And Mary Leeson owns one share. So, no need to, other than she's due. She's due. She's been going through the motions and doing them well and doing everything we asked. We just haven't asked her to trot hard. We're going to this week, and I suspect it won't be a problem for her. She's always been one of our better fillies. Time All Kazaam, the big tuna, he's starting to lose his weight and look good. He trained a mile in 2:40 the other day and looked really, really good doing it. I was very happy with him. Everybody should be. He does everything right. This is the full brother to Time All Houdini. Go look at Time All Houdini's training mile from this week. You'll see why a horse like Time All Kazaam is such an interesting prospect. Time All Houdini, I think, is going to be a very, very good 3-year-old. This colt looks different, looks better, looks stronger, and is going to come back strong. For a horse that battled illness and got tired at the end of the year, but still off a 3-week layoff, come out and win the non-winners of 1 at Mohawk. Won the non-winners of 1 at Mohawk in 157-3 as a 2-year-old. He's training back great. This is his full brother. Very interested to see how this little experiment is going to pan out. A horse that has been one of our better horses since day one, and you never noticed, was Yours If You Want It. Yours If You Want It's an Uncle Peter colt I liked from day one. Probably one of our 2 best horses in the Ohio colt division right now, and has been from day one. Both him and Run Valiant are very talented colts, look good, bred good, and I think maybe the future of our 2-year-old colt division in 2019 will be these 2 colts. Now Bend Over and the other colt, listen, I could tell you 5 of them. They have to do more, and they will. I'm sure they will. Both Crazy Mission, Bend Over, sometimes things happen. There's a number of them here, but they're not quite as good as Yours If You Want To and Run Valiant just yet. A lot of time to change that, but as of right now, those are the 2 on the top of the heap for our 2-year-old trotting division in Ohio. And yours, if you want it, looks good. And there's another horse I want to say I'm going to go with him next week. I might not be able to, but I do want to. And the first time I go with him, I'm going to cut him loose, and I think you're going to see what I'm talking about. This is a beautiful colt. Does everything right. Trots real, real nice. Utopian. Here is a horse that I opted to show you on Saturday. Now, he was supposed to go with Brushcut, and James had to leave, and I was going to get Mario to go with Brushcut, and I said, you know what? Brushcut doesn't need to go. I'm going to go with Utopian and show him off by himself. You can see he's green, and he wandered a little bit, but how fast he was. I come a half in 13 with him, and he was pacing hard through the wire, through the turn, into the backstretch, after the mile. Just looked great. Looked really, really good. So Utopian is a horse that impressed me a lot. Very happy with what I saw from him, and I suspect that everybody else will like him soon. This is a big Jim colt out of a very strong family. Very, very happy with what I saw from him on Saturday. Another horse that you should probably keep your eye on. Watch Av is a horse that people are already noticing. Not a lot of shares sold to him. I debated whether I was going to train him on Saturday, but again, I trained him in 232 on Wednesday, and I didn't want to stretch him again. He's a big, giant colt, and he does not need to train 2 strong miles in January in a week. You know, as we train the horses and get them down further, usually Wednesdays are 1.5 mile days, and we'll start that probably in February. And then Saturdays are a little faster in a bigger group setting. And Watch Av just didn't need to train again on Saturday. This is a colt that we bought from the sale. I haven't actually paid for him yet. I'm going to pay for him this week. But the reason is the gentleman sent it, a private breeder sent us the horse. Malin Miller, very nice man. Malin, you got yourself a nice colt, and yeah, I think that people are probably going to really be interested in him in the coming weeks and months also. Watch List, he's going to be leaving our barn. A little too small, a little too frail. Beautiful little colt, loves his. I wish I could take his drive and enthusiasm and put it into a number of horses in this barn, but Watch List just wasn't put together right. And the same type of conversation we're going to have with the Talking Peter clients, the Two of a Kind Hanover clients. Watch List. I talked to Bob and said, Bob, I don't want to take your money and continue to train this horse when I can't see stakes in his future. He ended up switching the colt out. He had another trotter in the field that he sent in for us to break to see how we liked him. I don't even know his name. He arrived here today, so you'll see him same as I see him tomorrow. So Watch List is no longer with us, but I wish him all the best because he is a nice little horse that really tries his heart out. Wiggle Delight. Wiggle Delight looked great again. Look great. She looks great every single week we go with her. This is a nice filly. Mario put her in gear the other day. She looked great training the other day and has looked great for quite some time. So Wiggle Delight, nice filly, doing great things for us at the barn, and hopefully the 2019 stake season will be fruitful for Paul Ganji and Wiggle Delight. Willpower Fashion continues to shed a small amount of weight all the time. As I said, grossly obese 2-3 weeks ago. I trained him. Somebody said, he trained great, but he looked tired. Yeah, that's because he was. He's fat. And he's getting better every single time we go with him. Probably going to slow him down to 245 speed, but go 1.5 miles with him every week now. Well, we switched his diet around a little bit. We actually put him on a little thyroid to help him shed some of that weight, which has looked like it's doing the trick. And old Tubby is starting to lose his weight and do good. He's just a very square-gated, reliable horse because he does everything right and he is very fast, but he doesn't run. You see him put a step in, but he always catches himself. He's just smart. The horse is just a beautiful horse to go with. Just a really nice horse to train, and I like Willpower Fashion a lot. Zeb Sunshine. Made a few little changes with Zeb Sunshine this week just to help him get his legs under him and get his feet under him. And Zeb Sunshine looked great training on Saturday, and I suspect he's going to look great training many Saturdays after this. This is an extremely well-bred colt. Made a couple little breaks. Had OCD surgery. He'll get better as time goes on, but looked great on Saturday. 1:2:36 for Zeb Sunshine. Every bit as good as I wanted him to look on Saturday. So that's it. That's all the babies. A lot going on this week. We showed you a lot of the 3-year-olds. For those of you that were asking us to go with the 3-year-olds, it's not that easy because they train at different times and different speeds out of different burns. So it was hard to really nail that down, but we got it done for you. We showed you a lot of the 3-year-olds, most of them. You didn't get to see Stonebird Simba. He made a break, and Curtis left him there and didn't show the rest of his training mount, which is fine. Stonebird Simba looks fine. White Tiger also has not become training. Obviously, he didn't come back till January. But yeah, I'll show you. Maybe I'll show you White Tiger, and maybe even Stonebird Simba again next Saturday if we get a chance. So that's it. A long video this week. A long yearling video. Well, 2-year-old video, I guess. A long video for the babies. A lot going on, and still a lot to go on over the next 6 months. So for me, it's nighttime now. I'm going to leave in an hour and go drive Lincoln James at Flamborough Downs. But for me and everybody at the stable, hope everybody had a good week and a good weekend. We didn't have a great week racing. Majesty Boy obviously won last night, so that was good. We'll take it as we can get it. I don't care if they go 1/2 and 4 and win in 2-4. A win is a win. We're taking it. Anyway, talk to everybody this week. Have a great week. And if you have any questions, please feel free. Drop me a line, send me a text message, pick up the phone. I'm always around. Take care. Bye.